So before I conclude the panel, I may take a few questions, not more than 3. Please raise your hand for those of you who have a questions. Okay, I see 4 hands. Maybe we will take for all those 4.
It's a quick reminder, please make your questions clear and concise, and additionally you can provide background to history, but make sure it's not too long.
Thank you, moderator. I'm John Bosco Karisa from East African Business Council. I want to congratulate the panelists, especially on tackling this issue of climate change. My question is very simple and precise. And when you look at the climate change, I always use 3 Ps: people, planet, and profit. In all the discussion, I didn't hear the role of the private sector in climate mitigation. And I'm directing the question from my good friend from Germany. How do you mobilize the private sector in terms of building resilience, in terms of adaptation, in terms of mitigation? That's the only solution that we will be able to tackle this problem. Last year we did a study, East African Business Council with USAID. The biodiversity loss in East Africa is $10 billion per annum. And there is an urgent call to mobilize the resources for that to mitigate the climate change. So my question is that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Next. Please, again, raise your hand. Please give him.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, all of you. And my name is Bashir from Small National University. So I want to ask a direct question, maybe the DG. And as you said before, Africa has less contribute to the global emission or CO2. So what are the chances for the East African community for the access of the global compensation for the global one? Because we know in highly industrialized countries has contributed much emissionless Africa or less in the Eastern Africa. So what are the chances for the access that global fund for the compensation of the climate and
Thank you.
crisis?
Yeah, the question is clear. This side, please. Here. The gentleman with the red tie. Yeah.
Thank you very much, professional moderator, and really a professional panel discussion here. Environment really is a very, very big area and interesting. And as you know, environmental issues internationally, environmental law, environmental policy, environmental economy, environmental awareness, environmental conservative, international, a lot of subjects, and we cannot really have time to discuss here today. But I would like to focus about Somalia and environment, which is really, I can tell that our Prime Minister, that today we have Ministry of Environment, first time ever in history in Somalia. Therefore, it's really interesting. As you know, in 1972, from Rio de Janeiro until today.
If you could just go to question, will it be helpful?
Yeah, I would like to comment. I don't have question. Okay. 1972 in Rio de Janeiro, it was really the start of that. We are talking about over 50 years now. And Somalia is just starting that. What I would like to comment is the ministry, high-level person is sitting here. Somalia ready to sign international environmental protocols? If the answer is yes, some of them are politicized, some of them is not unanimously accepted internationally. Therefore, I would like to comment to be very careful if you want to sign international protocols, particularly some of the energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There was one last question. I would recommend if you get a question from the female audience, will be very good. Okay. That gentleman with the blue jacket, yeah. Sorry, we couldn't find a female. I think this was a question.
Thank you, Akash. I've got 2 questions, and any of the panelists could respond to that.
Make it one. Make it one, please.
Okay. I'll ask on the incentives that are available for the youths, because I think they play a key role in terms of addressing matters climate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know the youth could struggle in terms of getting the resources that they could use to address some of these issues. So whether we could be able to find whether it's a kitty or funds available that we could use for the same.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who are you addressing to your question?
Any person could respond.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have only 3 questions here. Doctor, let me start with you. The Chamber of Commerce, the East Africa Chamber of Commerce asked the role of private sector in climate issues, in tackling climate issues.
Yes, John Bosco Kalisa, I know that this is a top issue for you. You are addressing it every time there's an occasion, and I think it's absolutely crucial to become clear how the sharing of responsibilities is working or shall work in Somalia in the future. So you always have, in every country, in every society, a specific sharing of responsibilities when it comes to providing public goods. Public goods are a good society, our healthcare system, our streets, schools, and so on, and also an intact environment. In the country of Somalia, we have a state that is not as present as, for example, in Germany. So in Germany, the state is offering nearly all public goods. It could be here that it's the opposite, but that's totally okay. You have to become clear as private sector, what do you want? You can't do everything yourself when it comes to the private sector. You can't build up this big irrigation structures around Johar. That's too much for the public sector. You can't build all the streets alone. You need the state in a specific way. You need a state for the big infrastructure responsibilities. And that's a question I have in mind, and I'm watching, what do you want as a Somali society? How do you share the responsibilities? And you negotiated since ever, like every society, and now there's a special dynamic because everything is mixed up, and now you are able to create the responsibility sharing that you want, that works for you. And I would love to see how you're developing your unique own system that is working for the Somali society, and the private sector has to play important role, but in combination with the state, what the state can offer to you as framework. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how you're going from here and what's happening in the next 5 or 10 years when it comes to environment. Thank you.
Thank you. There was another question from a gentleman who asked about compensation chances for Somalia to attract more climate funding to deal with issues. Ahmed, maybe if you could make it less than a minute, it could be fine.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. And regarding the question on EAC emissions and also the access on climate finance, yes, it is true that the EAC member state contributes very less when it comes to the emissions, those who make a lot of crisis on the planet. But we are one of the most areas that has been affected by climate crisis. You know Somalia, you know what happened in Kenya, and many others. So how can we access on climate finance? That has been discussed in many areas, I think. And there are number of funds and windows that has been globally agreed, Green Climate Fund, Global Environmental Facility, Adaptation Fund, and many others. But there was a question nowadays: are we benefiting these windows that has been assigned to these funds? It seems no. So there are also some leaders who have advocating nowadays to change that mind of financial structure, especially on President Kenya has been discussing this in America and others. Yes. So I think we need to focus on 4 areas to get more funds and access on those things. First of all, to have a specific group on climate negotiators on East Africa, and I think it's there now, led by one of the already is there, but we need to support those guys because are the guys who can share the global on what happens in EAC already. And then we have to also agree, I think, like loss and damage. It has been agreed in COP28. It's going to be discussed in COP29. I think our leaders, especially the presidents of EAC, needs to clearly share the global leaders on the challenges that we are facing. That's going to support like the ministries of climate and environment to submit proposals and projects to those windows, and it's going to facilitate on that. So I think we need to support on knowledge, we need to improve the communication, and we need to share a solid and well-designed projects and proposals regarding on water, energy, blue economy on the global, and then we can benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Lastly, Abdulrazak, what are the incentives for youth who are dealing with climate issues? Are there any funding opportunities for them from the perspective of the UN? Are there any incentives in place?
The youth can play a very significant role in climate change adaptation. The problem I just raised on the charcoal, we once tried in one of UNDP's project an open call for youth in Somalia to come up with innovative ideas, to come up with homegrown solutions. And we couldn't believe the amount of and the number of the innovative solutions that they came up with. So the youth have got the ideas, and they have the innovativeness that it requires, but the missing link here is the funding and the coaching and the capacity building that will take them to the next level. So in that open call to crowdsource homegrown solutions, I remember one of the youth that got the funding he came an idea with producing charcoal from invasive species, like Prosopis juliflora. And that business is very successful now, and it's working. So that showcases that the youth have got ideas to counter, the environmental issues.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You will all agree with me that we love to continue this conversation, but due to time, we couldn't do that. Sorry. I have to forgive some of my questions, and I apologize for those of you who would love to ask, maybe to comment, maybe next time. So we talked about capacity building, community engagement, resource mobilization, and policy harmonization. Those are very high-level issues, and I hope we will democratize those conversations to a local level, and that's what we do as an institute. So thank you very much. A big round of applause to my panel, and that's the end of the panel.